All right, so got a really nice little group gathered here for our fall town hall, and I organized this as a space for us to reflect on what's been working in Nowhere Village and where we're gonna head next. Um, I created this space in fall of 2019, and the reason why is because I realized that, I was teaching a lot in person, giving people experiences of retreats and workshops and classes. But I know from my own experience and from coaching others and just having others in my life that are spiritual practitioners that for these practices to really, really work for us and change us and transform us, and to give us all that wisdom and healing that we want from them, we have to be keeping up the practice on our own at home, in between these gatherings that we might have and peak experiences. We have the responsibility to kind of on a daily basis be upkeeping these things on our own. And although for me, I feel much more natural actually in the room with you guys, I realized that that and the online possibilities could be extremely supportive for everybody. It also enabled me to move to different places as I needed to, and to move away from, some of my base, and to grow this community in a wider way. So, what I mostly want to provide through Nowhere Village, this hasn't changed since the very beginning. What I want to provide is a safe and dynamic and lively space, for, on the one hand, for you guys to receive, for you to receive fresh inspiration and guidance from me and other trusted practitioners, and experienced meditators and enlightenment seekers. So to provide this offering, a space for anybody to kind of pop in and get a guided meditation, to get a little talk. And then on the other hand, a space where you could actually participate. None of this works, again, unless you're actually like engaging in it and kind of digesting it and making it your own, which means sometimes we do have to share about it. Also, we need to share in order to see ourselves, really, to do our self-reflection, I believe. And so I also wanted it to be this space where you could show up and be seen and heard, and express these timeless teachings in your own unique voice, and kind of hear yourself do that in a space where you could have others applaud that and receive that. And yeah, so that's the main heart of it. That's the main point of it. And I've been really proud of what we have been able to share here together, and the growth that so many of us have made, and the relationships that have formed. And I do see a lot of room for us to improve upon it, and to deepen the benefits, and perhaps to expand the community as well. So how Nowhere Village works, really, there's like three main aspects to it, to the way the kind of website structure that I ended up choosing as the platform. There's the general network, which is like this, it's kind of like a spiritual Facebook, right? It's a space that at any given time you could pop into, and you could see a post from me or from another practitioner. You can grab a guided meditation, like I said, or listen to a talk, or do a movement class that's pre-recorded and up there for you. You can start a conversation or join one, and that's happening all the time, and it's a pretty wide community. Then there's courses. When I run a course, I'm about to do a new one soon. That's an experience where you gather with the community for a set amount of time. It has a beginning, middle, and end. We have a really specific focus, and then the course closes and ends. Then there's circles, and this is the third big aspect of what we do here. And the circle is a specific community within the bigger, wider network, that's focused on particular practices or a particular practice, and a space that is ongoing. So again, you can kind of keep deepening those relationships. You can pop in and out as you need. And yet it's unlike sort of a Facebook or something bigger, it does feel like a closed community. It feels like a safe space in that way, and a focused space. So coming up for the fall, I see in the general network, I'm just going to be kind of dropping, as I have been, little bits and bobs. That's for free. Anybody can come on and check those out. And my ideal vision for that space going forward is just that it's a little more dynamic. It's got more going on. I would like to be personally posting more things. And I would love for other people to, when you see something on Facebook or you read something in the New York Times and you're like, oh, the Nowhere Village community will get this, or they'll really enjoy this, or, oh, this reminds me of a conversation that we were having a couple weeks ago. I want to post it. And so one of the things that I am interested in is figuring out ways of making it a space that people, think to do that. I want to remove obstacles in terms of people being just unsure of how to do that. You know what I mean? That might be as simple as making like a little video about how do you share a post on Nowhere Village. But that, I want to remove barriers to people in terms of that. And I want to make it something that, that's an idea that pops into your mind. I want to share this in Nowhere Village. And I personally am, every time somebody shares something, at least within a couple of days, I will comment on it. I will have that conversation, but I would love for there to be more voices, doing that. Courses. This fall, I'm gonna lead a course called The History of Nothing, and and I'm really excited about that. It's sort of tracing the concept of the no self or the nothing as a great spiritual good, the exploration of one's own nothingness, and tracing that actually through different traditions. And so that will be basically a little lecture every week and sharing a couple of, excerpts from key texts every week, from a different tradition, and again, inviting conversation with people. And that's all coming together. But in terms of, questions to put to you and things that I'm thinking about is, if anybody has thoughts about the structure or the schedule of courses. And as we think about future courses, I know for a while we were talking about doing the chakras, one a month. And that's something that maybe we could do in the winter and the spring. It takes a long time, so I might simultaneously be running another course in there. So I have to kind of figure that out calendar wise. But so as my vision for the courses is that throughout the year, I lead a couple of courses, maybe a few, depending on their length. And that these are subjects that are really interesting to people, things that people really want to dive into. The courses are nice in that we can kind of have an opening circle and an ending circle, that it can be its own, finite thing. There's a kind of benefit to that. And yeah, so I'm thinking about what the courses are going to look like beyond that. But right now I'm thinking that the history of nothing will run for about halfway through October through end of November, something like that, or early December. And then the circles. Now, this is sort of the main thing that I've been really thinking about. I mean, I've kind of been thinking about it this whole time that I've had Nowhere Village. How are these circles going to work? And I think the circles are actually a really unique opportunity, and that there's a lot of creative ways that we can move forward in terms of thinking about the circles and creating them. Right now, there's one circle, the Founders Circle, and that's the only circle that there's been from the very beginning. And what we've mostly been doing together, right, is meditating together. Here's how I see the Founders Circle going forward. That the focus of the Founders Circle is really the practice of community itself. That the main thing that we do is get to know each other, build relationships, establish intimacy and trust together. And that the main practice of the Founders Circle is this community aspect, and the main practice is the sharing circle. So every Friday we've been having this, we were on a little break for the summer, but we've been having this sharing circle. I want to keep those going as just a space where you can show up and share about anything at all that's going on in your life and in your spiritual practice. I see the Founders Circle as going forward having free access to the courses and the other circles, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And that the founders, as the original core members, I have seen, and I assume, I hope that this, as I grow and create other circles, that the founders continue to be the people that I can always turn to reflect back to me, where we are in our journey together, and to give me good counsel and to help me figure out, what's working and what's not. And I will always be looking toward that kind of original core group to help me, just to help me to understand what's really needed in the community. I see us doing a retreat every year, at least one retreat, and I want to just kind of be your facilitator, be the one that can help bring us all together and do the stuff that you guys really want to do. Now, so like I said, the founders would have, I'm about to talk about 4 different circles that I would like to create in the coming months. And founders, my concept is that a founder could choose to join any one of those circles for free. And you could choose not to. And that'll make sure that these individual circles are really just full of the people that want to be there, and that, you on your end aren't receiving notifications about practices you're not really interested in. So, okay. So these sort of, these other distinct circles would all be about a practice in particular. So the first one, the Stillness Circle. So we already have been meditating. The founders group has been meditating a lot and guiding these leading silent meditations. I lead some guided meditations. The Stillness Circle would be all about meditation. And so the live aspect would be opportunities to meet and practice meditation together. There are recordings that I will post. My bigger vision for this circle is again, sort of, it would be nice, I think, to have more people show up for some of these. And I know, some of you lead silent meditations, and it's nice when people come, right? It's nice to sit in the circle with others. And right now it's usually just a few people coming to each of these, whether I host it or anybody else. So one thing is just to grow that, to share with more people this great opportunity to be together in this way. I also have a vision of eventually, if there are other meditation teachers that want to join that circle, we could have other people and other voices in here and other guidance, because of the way that the Mighty Networks platform that I run all this on is created. You can follow particular members and not follow others, kind of like an Instagram feed, right? So you could just see posts from the people that you were really interested in. And I would love eventually for it to be, for there to be others who also have things to share. And if you don't want to listen to them, you just don't follow them, and that there would be more events throughout the week, more opportunities throughout the day to go, oh, I just really need a meditation. When is there one? When is somebody hosting one? And, oh, okay, I'll go to that one a little later. Yeah. Then the next practice that I would like to form a circle around is movement. So my vision for this right now is that I would facilitate a movement-based group, and once at the beginning of the month, I will post a movement practice, full movement practice. I don't know, say 45 to 60 minutes, something like that. And make that available to everyone who's a subscriber of the Movement Circle. And then throughout the month, I'll be taking questions about it and creating little short videos or short, responses to people's questions, or kind of focusing on an aspect of that practice and making almost like little tutorials. And again, this is all about it being dynamic and, in community conversation. And so I would be responding to what's working and not working for people, what people have questions about. And then, so those would be recordings, but then live once, or maybe if people want different times, twice a week, I would do a weekly class where rather than me demonstrating, I would be talking you through a version of our practice of the month. And I'd be watching you and actually being able to, like I used to be able to do in the room with everyone, give you little feedback, um, and really actually be more of a teacher to you. I think that an issue with the movement classes once I went online was that it was like just me demonstrating, and I didn't feel like I was really teaching as much. So I think that could be a great opportunity. Now, in terms of, so I would start that up and I would really be kind of guiding all of that in my ideal vision in the future. This again, kind of like I said with them, if we had some more meditation teachers in here that also were making offerings, I would love that for the movement portion. And I think actually I just within our community already, right? Pam's here. Pam sometimes shares these beautiful rollout classes. Maybe, as a circle member, she could also make those offerings to those in the circle, and those who chose to follow her and wanted to attend those could do that. And yeah, in my ideal world, there would be like a bunch of cool teachers who would also be in the circle with us, sharing their stuff, and which is a good opportunity for those teachers. And of course, at some point, anyway, if it makes sense for me to be kind of sharing the income or whatever with the other people in the circle who are bringing value, then I would be very, very happy to do that. So I'm thinking of just kind of getting it started for us and then letting it evolve. And then again, if we invite in all of our favorite energy work teachers and movement teachers into that circle and we're all together, I think some really cool things could happen and collaborations might happen. And again, in an ideal world, wouldn't it be cool if it kind of, in any given day, there'd be a nice live movement, opportunity that you could have, or an interesting new little video that you could get from a trusted teacher from within that circle. We'll see. We would see if it could evolve that way. But I think just to begin with, it would be really beautiful to, again, share a sequence with you and then share some of the principles throughout the month, and to keep us all kind of on a focus of the month. And then, the community would sort of decide where we want to go with the next month with it. All right, there's two more. The next one is the creative circle. And this would be for people who see their creative practice as one of their most sacred practices. And right now, I'm just going to I want to offer a very simple version of this that I think we would be able to do scheduling wise, and, people would be able to dive into, where each new moon or right around the new moon, I would host a circle just for us sharing about our creative process. How's it going right now? Talking about our works in progress, just like a powwow among people that are creative folks, a place to be seen and heard about the issues that come up with your creative practice, a place where we can really encourage each other. And then every full moon would be an opportunity for sharing our works, for sharing what you've worked on in this last month. A time you can go, oh, the full moon's coming, I need to finish something so I can share it with my circle, and so we would do a kind of, like a show and tell, and then a little sharing circle afterwards where we could give feedback to each other and talk about what it brought up for us. There's a lot of different kinds of creative practice. So this circle, and I could see this happening in actually every circle in a way, this circle might, if it gets big enough and it makes sense, could splinter off into, a writing circle, a visual artist circle, or whatever. If that happens, I would probably end up trying to tag some people who are really strong in an individual medium to help me lead that. But I think at the beginning, just we'll keep it into this just bigger umbrella of creative practice. And then finally, the Truth Seekers Circle. And this is for the practice of inquiry, study, philosophical exploration, and discussion. And again, these are all things that we've all kind of been doing together in different ways. But the idea about putting it into these different circles is, again, for some people, one of these practices feels more important than others, or, and depending on just what you need in your life, maybe you've got a creative group already. You're not going to need that here, but you really don't have anywhere else to talk about enlightenment philosophy or these big ideas. And so maybe, this is something more for you. So, this one I want to form after we finish the history of nothing, because I think, the history of nothing is really it's like it is a historical exploration and a philosophical exploration. And I think that through that, those of us that are really interested in that will have a good sense of what we want to study next. It could end up looking kind of like a book club where you go, okay, Aaron, I want to study the Heart Sutra of Buddhism. I actually led a kind of spiritual book group a long time ago in Brooklyn where we kind of did that, and we would go through a text and the group could kind of decide what it is that you're really jazzed about. I would do my homework and bring it to you. And of course, not as always, not as the expert on it, but as somebody who has some background and insight. And then I would open up the conversation for us to mutually make discoveries together. And so that's one that, that I see as being really exciting. That one might actually end up kind of taking the form of new courses. Like a course structure might be really good for that truth seeker circle. So we'll see how that wants to be formatted. But that one is for those of us that really like to nerd out on this stuff and have a space where we can talk about really big ideas. Okay, that's my spiel. That's my kind of near future vision, and then some of my bigger visions that may or may not evolve in that direction. And now it's your turn. I would love for, of course, those gathered, but also anybody who's watching this, just to reflect on whatever really came up for you as I shared. Please share with me any thoughts that you have, anything that seems exciting, anything that seems like I don't know about that, and please ask questions about anything that seems unclear, and share with us your wonderful wisdom and insights, and so that we can co-create something that's really supportive and meaningful for us. The last thing I'm going to say is that, when I formed this, I did not know that we had a pandemic on the way. I didn't know how hard these last couple of years were going to be. I didn't know I was going to have to move around as much as I have moved during this time. And the fact that I've had Nowhere Village, I've had all of you guys that have been participating, that I've been able to come home to this space again and again, even though my physical home kept changing, has meant the world to me. And I'm very grateful for it. And I'm really excited to continue to grow with you all and to continue to support each other. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here.